Volvo XC90, Acura MDX, and Lexus TX. Which three-row luxury SUV should you buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. If you want to buy a large luxury SUV with 3 rows of seats that can hold up to 7 people, the Acura MDX, Lexus TX, and Volvo XC90 are 3 of the top choices. Now, of course, there are other luxury SUVs out there, including the BMW X7, Mercedes GLS, or even the Cadillac Escalade, but those SUVs can easily go well over $100,000, making them way too expensive for most. So if you want a luxury 3-row SUV without spending an insane amount of money, these are the 3 that you're likely going to be leaning towards. And we're going to find out which of the 3 is the best one to buy. So let's get things started with the XC90. Now, Volvo did plan to change its entire lineup to all-electric vehicles, and they did recently introduce the new EX90, which is an all-electric large 3-row SUV, very similar in size to the XC90, which was actually supposed to replace it. But now that electric car sales have been going down, Volvo has decided to change its plans, and the XC90 is going to be sticking around for the foreseeable future. And because this generation XC90 has been on the market for 10 years now, it was time for Volvo to give it a significant update. So they've updated the design, the technology, the interior, but they've kept the platform basically the same. And Volvo has also kept the engine options the same. The XC90 offers 3 different engines to choose from, all of which come with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with a conventional 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive. As mentioned, this is a somewhat old engine that has been around for a while now, and in some ways it is showing its age. For one thing, it is a timing belt engine, which is rather interesting for a new vehicle in 2025. The base engine, which is oddly only offered in the US and not in Canada, has 247 horsepower. Or if you want more performance, you can get a more powerful version that's both turbocharged and supercharged that produces 295 horsepower, which is available in both the US and Canada. Now, I am a little bit iffy about this engine because having a turbocharged engine is already putting enough pressure on the engine, and adding in a supercharger on top of that, being both turbocharged and supercharged, well, that really makes me question the longevity and long-term reliability of this engine. In any case, there is a third engine choice, which is the one that I'm driving here, and that is the plug-in hybrid. The plug-in hybrid XC90 has the same 2-liter turbocharged engine, no supercharger, just a turbo, but it has an electric motor that comes sandwiched in between the engine and the 8-speed automatic transmission, along with a second electric motor that powers the back wheels, giving it an electric all-wheel drive system. And then of course you have a large hybrid battery, a 15 kilowatt hour battery, which means that on a full charge, it's able to travel around 33 miles or just over 50 kilometers, which is not too bad. And then of course, once that electric range is used up, the gas engine will turn on and it will run in normal hybrid mode. And if you want to get that electric range back, you will have to plug it in and charge it. Now, using a level 2 charger, my Emporia EV charger, which I have installed in my home, a full charge on this vehicle takes a little over 4 hours, which is a bit on the long side for a plug-in hybrid, but still not too bad. And I will say that this is quite a nice hybrid system. It's incredibly smooth. You really don't notice the gas engine turning on and off as you drive. It is quite refined, which it should be, because Volvo has been now using this hybrid technology for many years now. And in some ways it does show its age. For example, it does have a somewhat primitive heating cooling system when it's in electric mode, which means that it's really not that efficient when you drive it in really cold climates, such as the winter time, where it might struggle to get decent range if you want to drive it on electric power. But despite that, it is a great performing system, and it has a lot of power. It produces 455 horsepower and 526 pound-feet of torque, which makes this a very quick SUV. But just make sure not to floor it too often if you want to get decent fuel economy out of it, because driving it carefully, it's still only able to average around 22 to 27 miles per gallon, or roughly up to 9 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not too bad. Now, moving on to the Lexus TX. Now, like the XC90, you have 3 different engine options to choose from. The standard engine is a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces around 275 horsepower, and again comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's a perfectly fine drivetrain. It produces enough power, it's reasonably efficient and smooth, although nothing really that spectacular. Lexus has been using this engine since 2021 when it was introduced in the Lexus NX, and it has proven to have a very good reputation for reliability, so it does have that going for it. Now, for those who find the standard engine in the TX 350 to be just a bit too unremarkable, you can go for the TX 500H, which is a performance hybrid. It basically uses the exact same 2.4 turbo engine with a hybrid system added to it, which allows it to produce up to 366 horsepower and over 400 pound-feet of torque, making this a properly quick and powerful SUV. Now, because it's a performance hybrid, it doesn't have the best fuel economy. It's only slightly more efficient than the standard engine, which really only gets up to around 27 miles per gallon, or up to 9 liters per 100 kilometers. So if you are looking for the best fuel economy, the hybrid in this SUV is really not going to be the right fit. The TX, however, does have a third engine option, which, like the Volvo, is a plug-in hybrid, the TX 550H Plus, which has a naturally aspirated 3.5 V6 engine with a hybrid system and an eCVT. It has very similar electric range as the Volvo and a very similar performance, power, and fuel economy. Lexus, of course, is part of Toyota, a company that's known for making some of the best hybrids in the industry. They've been doing it much longer than any other car brand with the most expertise. So if you want to go with a hybrid, or a plug-in hybrid in this case, this is the company to go for. And then we have the Acura MDX, which is the only one in this group that does not offer a hybrid option and only has 2 different V6 engines. The standard engine is a naturally aspirated 3.5 V6 with a 10-speed automatic transmission. And then if you go for the Type S version, you get a turbocharged V6 with more performance. Now, the standard engine in the MDX is the same V6 that Acura has now been using for over 20 years. It's a very well-proven engine, very reliable, excellent longevity, and it has decent performance. It produces around 290 horsepower. It's a very smooth, refined engine and has more than enough power for an SUV like this. But if for whatever reason you want to have even more performance, as mentioned, you can go with the MDX Type S. With its turbocharged engine, produces up to 355 horsepower, giving it very similar performance to the other 2 plug-in hybrid SUVs. Now, whichever engine you go with in the MDX, you're not going to get great fuel economy. It does have the worst fuel economy of this group, only able to get up to maybe 24, 25 miles per gallon at best. But that being said, it is really nice driving a big SUV with a V6 engine, because you just don't get the same kind of smoothness, the quietness, and refinement with a 4-cylinder. So it really does elevate the driving experience in the MDX. And the other part where the MDX really stands out is the way it drives on the road. Now, all 3 SUVs are phenomenal driving vehicles. These are luxury SUVs at the end of the day that do cost a lot of money. So really, all 3 of them do have a very nice, smooth, comfortable driving experience. All 3 come with conventional coil spring suspension as standard, but you can get adaptive air suspension as an option on the XC90 and on the MDX. But it really is the MDX that has the best combination of having a smooth, comfortable ride while also having a very sporty ride with really impressive handling. It has a very special torque vectoring all-wheel drive system, Acura's super handling all-wheel drive, and it really does feel like the sports car in this group. And that combination of having excellent handling and a very smooth, comfortable ride is something that the MDX has always done very well. The TX and the XC90 just don't have the same kind of sporty feel to them, and even though both of them are very comfortable to drive, there is a little bit more harshness and a little bit more crashiness when you drive them over really broken pavement. They just don't absorb bumps quite as well as the MDX. Having said that, driving these SUVs over the past few weeks, I really have been enjoying the drive in all of them quite a bit, and I've also really been enjoying the interiors. Let's start with the Volvo, which has probably the nicest interior in this group. It feels incredibly luxurious, very high quality, very well put together with excellent materials, excellent fit and finish. It really feels like the proper luxury vehicle standout in this group, and it really does elevate it above the rest. It also has pretty good technology. As part of the update for 2025, Volvo has added its latest touchscreen infotainment system, which has a Google-based interface, which means you have Google apps such as Google Maps built right into the screen, and it is a very good user interface, well laid out, very responsive, great looking graphics. I did notice a little bit of lag at times, but for the most part, it is a very good touchscreen. It would be nice to have a few more physical controls, but as a whole, it really is hard to complain about this interior because it is so luxurious and so well put together. The XC90 also seems to have the most comfortable seats in this group. I really don't pay too much attention to seat comfort because that really is more of a personal thing depending on the person, but I have to say that the seats really did stand out in the XC90. And in second place, I would have to put the MDX as having the next nicest interior. Again, very luxurious, very well put together, not quite as nice as the Volvo. Some of the materials are just not quite at the same level. There's a few more plastic trim parts here and there, but as a whole, still a very nice interior and very well equipped. The features that you can get in the MDX are really quite exceptional. It has the best massaging leather seats in the group, a very good sound system, and it has the best control setup. Again, you have a very simple, easy to use Google-based touchscreen, but you have proper physical controls, which make this the most usable and the most user-friendly interior in the group. And then there's the Lexus TX, which has an interior that's more similar to the Volvo in that basically all of your controls are built into the center touchscreen. Now, it is a very large touchscreen, much larger than the one that you get in the other two, and the user friendliness of it is very good. It's very straightforward, and it doesn't have the same kind of laggy issues that I did notice in the Volvo. But even though it is fairly user friendly, it has very good storage space, and the interior is quite luxurious, very well put together, good fit and finish, it doesn't quite stand out as being quite as nice and quite as luxurious as what you get in the other two, especially when compared to the Volvo. It just comes a little bit short. As far as the interior space goes, however, all three are very comparable. All three have plenty of space in all three rows of seats. I was able to sit fairly comfortably in the third row in all three SUVs. Now, the Lexus does have a little bit more space and volume when compared to the other two, but it does unfortunately basically come as a six-seater with second row captain's chairs on most trims. There's only a few trims where you can get a second row bench with seating for up to 7, which does limit its practicality just a little bit. Both the MDX and the XC90 come standard as 7-seaters. And this is where I think the MDX has a little bit of an advantage because it has a second row bench where you can actually remove the middle seat, giving you the choice to have either captain's chairs or a bench with seating for up to 7, making it the most usable. That being said, if you are looking for a spacious, practical, family-sized SUV, all three of these should do the job perfectly fine. Now, let's talk about safety. This is, after all, an area where Volvo has quite a reputation. They're known for making incredibly safe vehicles. Years ago, they claimed that their vehicles would be so safe that nobody would ever die in an accident in a Volvo ever again. And indeed, Volvos do have very good safety technology and very good safety. In fact, the XC90 is rated a top safety pick by the IIHS, which is excellent. But then again, so is the Acura MDX. It has the exact same safety rating as the Volvo. So as far as safety is concerned, both the MDX and the XC90 are more or less equally good choices. The TX, however, is the only one in this group that does not have the top safety pick rating from the IIHS, which is quite unfortunate to see. And with that, I think it's time to get into the pricing. Now, of course, all three of these are very expensive SUVs. They are luxury brands, they are large three-row SUVs, that's just the way it is. But having said that, as far as pricing is concerned, they are a bit on the more affordable end when it comes to large three-row SUVs. As mentioned earlier, you could be buying something like a BMW X7, Mercedes GLS, or Cadillac Escalade and spend well over $100,000. So the fact that all three of these SUVs are roughly in that $60,000 to $80,000 price range, maybe between $70,000 to $100,000 Canadian, depending on which trim, which engine choice you go with, that does make them somewhat reasonable as far as luxury brands go. Now, price is one thing, value is another thing, which brings us to the next topic, which is reliability, cost of ownership, and resale value. Now let's start with the Volvo. This generation of the XC90 was the first Volvo to be made under Volvo's new Chinese ownership, and in the first several years of its production, it did have quite a few reliability issues and repair concerns. Now, fortunately, because Volvo has been making this vehicle for so many years now, around a decade or so, they have seemed to ironed out most of those concerns. But with that said, this is still a Volvo, and Volvos just don't have the same solid reputation for reliability that you get with the Japanese brands. That's just the way they are. They really are more comparable to that of a German brand such as BMW or Mercedes. They can have problems now and then, typically electrical problems in nature. And not only is the reliability of the XC90 and Volvos in general somewhat hit or miss, especially in terms of long-term reliability past the warranty period, they are known for being challenging to work on, difficult to service. You really need to have a Volvo specialist or go to a Volvo dealership, and they can be quite expensive to repair. And that does have an impact on their resale value, which is not as good as the other two. As far as reliability and resale is concerned, both the Lexus and Acura are superior to the Volvo. The Lexus TX is basically a larger three-row version of the Lexus RX, which is known to be one of the most reliable, trouble-free luxury SUVs, making it a very safe long-term purchase. And the same is true of the Acura MDX. Again, a very solid reputation for reliability. As mentioned, that 3.5 liter V6 has been around for decades now and is a very well proven engine that can last for very high mileage. So as nice as the Volvo is, if you want to be on the safe side as far as reliability and cost of repair is concerned, and you want to have an SUV that's going to last you well past the warranty period and minimize your repair costs, you are better off going with either the Lexus or the Acura. So in the end, what's it going to be? Well, I think it really needs to be said. These are the type of SUVs for someone who not only has the money, but really for somebody that really wants to have that luxury SUV experience. I really don't think they offer the best value. I mean, if you just go for a regular SUV such as a Honda Pilot or a Toyota Grand Highlander, you're really going to get 80% of the benefits of these SUVs for a much more reasonable price. However, if you really want to have a luxury brand, you just want to have something that's nicer, a little bit more comfortable, maybe better performance with a nicer interior, when it comes to these three, I would say that the Volvo is the one that I would put in third place. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a very nice SUV. It's very comfortable. The interior is absolutely beautiful, very luxurious. It has plenty of space. This is a very practical SUV. but its long-term reliability is a little bit questionable, especially for those who are buying for long-term ownership. It is a little bit on the stiff side, and it's just a very expensive SUV, especially if you go for the higher trims and the more powerful drivetrains, especially the plug-in hybrid. You are spending quite a bit of money here. I think if you really like the Volvo, the one to have is just the base engine, the least powerful engine, which is going to be perfectly fine for most, and it's going to save you a lot of money over the more powerful supercharged engine or the plug-in hybrid. But since you can't get that base engine in Canada, let's move on to the next one, which for second place, I'm putting the Lexus TX. Now, this is a very nice luxury SUV. It feels very nice to drive. The interior is very spacious, and it's a Lexus. It has a phenomenal reputation for being reliable, excellent build quality, and all that. But with that said, it's just not quite as impressive as it should be for this price. Again, this is a very expensive SUV, and I think Lexus could have done a little bit more, offered a little bit more, making this a little bit more luxurious, better performance, better refinement. It should offer just a bit more for the price, which can get up there, especially if you go for the performance hybrid, the TX 500H, or the plug-in hybrid TX 550. This can become a very expensive SUV. And again, I think in terms of value, the best one to go with is just the basic version, the TX 350 with the standard engine, which is really more than enough. But it's not my number one choice. My number one three-row luxury SUV is the Acura MDX. As a total package, as a whole, it's the most well-rounded SUV in the group. It really does it all. It's luxurious, it has excellent features, excellent technology. It has the best combination between a smooth, comfortable ride and a sporty, great driving experience with great performance. It's very reliable, very well made, and it just offers the best value for the money. So there you have it. Now, after watching this video, which of these three luxury SUVs would be your choice if you needed a three-row SUV? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. You can also take a look at my other videos by clicking the links up in the corner. And if you are planning to buy a vehicle and you live in Ontario, know that OMVIC is the vehicle sales regulator that's responsible for administering and enforcing the rules that dealerships must follow. To learn more about your consumer protection rights, just visit omvic.ca. And if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, make sure to check out carhelpcan.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.